I second the bill.
All right.
You all set? Can you hear us out in the crowd? Can, okay, thank you. All right, I am going to call to order the Village of Wind Point Personnel Finance and Insurance Committee for Tuesday, October 7th, 2025, and take roll. Carmen Guerrero, present, Alvin McCollum. Here. And Rob Wapnow, present. All right, at this time, citizen comment, individuals can speak on any topic on the agenda for up to 3 minutes. Time extensions are at the discretion of the committee chair. No action can be taken on items not listed except as possible referred to committee staff or future PFIC agenda items. Since we have got a super packed and full session, I am keeping this to 3 minutes, not to be rude, just letting everybody know. All right, let's start on Zoom first, and then we'll come to the room. Anybody on Zoom from the public want to make a comment? No? Okay. Let's start in the room. Who would like to go first? Anybody else? Just Jane?
Oh, eventually.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine, no problem.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Jane.
Okay, to the residents, this proposed municipal building is too large and too expensive. I did an analysis. Please see my email for the details. Much of the planned space is unused during the business day. The 1,500 square foot village hall voting room courtroom is used for these purposes only 10 to 15% of the business hours in a year. It's available for regular use for other purposes 85 to 90% of the time. It could be used as the conference room training room and the map reading room, eliminating the need for those two separate rooms, each of which are 411 square feet. That plus digitizing the files will reduce the building size by 1,000 square feet. Not even counting the 1,500 square foot village hall, the new village office space alone is 80% larger than the current office space. And the new police department facility is double the size of the current facility. Doubling the size of our municipal facilities should have justification with it. How much space is actually needed for voting? That determines the size of the 1,500 square foot room. Residents would like to see a scale drawing. Maybe there's another 500 square feet here that could be saved. We currently vote within a 1,300 square foot garage. In the 1980s, residents voted in the lighthouse, right here. The number of voters has not changed much since then. Most residents voted in person then. Today, over half the voters vote absentee. If this space reduction allows the building to be built in the current location, then the $805,000 cost for the new access road could be avoided. That $805,000 is not yet in the CIP, yet it would be needed to access the proposed new building in 2026. The $4.2 million in the CIP is the municipal building project cost from Riley Construction, which includes the building construction estimate and the owner allowances of $665,000 for design engineering, legal fees, utility charges, etc. The $805,000 for the access road was always a separate additional project estimate from Riley Construction. An operational referendum is being planned for April 2027 to avoid the operational deficit, cover our increasing policing costs. Keeping our own police department depends on the referendum passing. Building a new police department facility before the referendum presupposes the outcome or it becomes a sunk cost. The new police department facility plan uses 1,000 square foot more than the public works department would use for its garages and offices. Over 20 years, we will have paid $770,000 per 1,000 square foot in principal and interest. We can't afford that kind of sunk cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're next, or if you Thank you.
Sure. Okay.
All right, I guess I should be more formal. I know Jane and I know Nikki, but can you state your name? Thanks.
Nikki Fisher, 161 Merritt Berlin.
Thank you.
In reviewing the packet for today's meeting, I see you're being asked to approve a slew of resolutions, and I applaud your ability to try to do that thoughtfully in a relatively short meeting. Some seem to be easy, such as the approval of a grant writer, if indeed there is money available from the state. And that is an urgent need apparently, because it's the 31st of October that the grant application is due. As others have mentioned, and you've heard before, though, that's one very concerning resolution is the capital improvement budget, which is in an entire of the entire budget. And there seems to be, again, some things in there that should be done relatively soon, but more than $4 million for a new municipal building is a different story, as you've heard before from people. I urge you to not approve that part of the capital budget for the following reasons. First of all, it's still unclear to me and many other residents that you have fully analyzed and considered viable alternatives to the new building. That should be, I believe, an entire meeting with analysis and documentation available to the public in advance. Perhaps you'll have some of that discussion today with the spreadsheet, but if it's just a performative filling out the spreadsheet to a foregone conclusion, that would not necessarily be considered due diligence on the part of many residents. As Jane mentioned, the second reason not to do it today is that there still seems to be a question whether the current plan on the table is right-sized for need and functionality, and most importantly, for what we can afford. As you mentioned, for example, is 8,000 square foot building actually necessary when only a handful of employees will be there full time, and additional space is needed at most for meetings a couple of times a month or voting 3 to 4 times a year. The third reason why I asked you to defer approving the municipal building is there's still a lack of clarity as to the actual cost. As Jane mentioned, is it really $4.2 million or is it $5 million because of the addition of the road? And is the relocation to a different location causing that? I've gotten conflicting answers on that, and I'd love to have the answer to that. When I asked recently what the board would do if they found that a majority of residents were not in favor of the current plans for the municipal building, I was told effectively, this is why you elected us, to make decisions on your behalf. I do believe that, that's true, but we also have certain expectations of residents that you'll make these decisions in line with our wishes and that you will continue the Wind Point tradition of being practical, frugal, something that has made us unique as a village. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Nikki. Yeah. Everybody?
Well, Janet Bernberg, 130 Eldorado Drive. Mine is an informal presentation, but if I recall from our meetings this summer that the people there were assured that there was going to be a study done before you embarked on this building. Renting, and doing the construction on the site where the building is. Now, I understand that supposedly rental is out of the question because of large space that we need, but I think we still could look into the office space and then still have our large meetings here. And I found it interesting that there was a meeting at Prairie for the village residents. So perhaps that still isn't out of maybe voting there, we can't, but, you know, maybe having a large meeting that we don't have very many of those over the years. So I hope that you will continue your promise in saying that you will look at the alternatives, and you were very definite about it, that you were going to look into alternatives. So I hope that's the case, and I really believe that you should not pass the resolution to go ahead with the building, because I haven't spoken to a lot of people, but people have stopped at my house and said, what is going on? You know, they don't approve of this. And interesting thing that one person did bring up, I guess one of the problems with the house is that, you know, all the file cabinets we have. And this person said, we're all going digital. Why can't all the records be digitally done? So anyway, I thought it was a good meeting last night for the village. I thought it was a very promising situation. Oh, that was the other thing that I wanted to, do we have, I know we can't, you know, like a lawyer representing us in the Gulf situation? I think that we should.
Village does have an attorney that reviews.
Well, I know we have an attorney, but is he working for our best interest to see?
You know,
No, and the other thing is, I guess the clubhouse is now going to be on village property, which originally it wasn't, I thought. Anyway.
Yeah.
Um,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Take a look at the minutes for September 2nd for PFIC. Any questions, concerns? Oh, I'm sorry. I know. Hi. The lady said yes, so we jumped over to this end. Okay, thank you. All right. Item 4, approved minutes from September 2nd, PFIC meeting.
Yeah, I review them, I move that we approve the minutes from the September 2nd PFIC meeting.
Second. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right. Approved meeting minutes from September 23rd, joint Personnel Finance Insurance Committee and Public Safety and Emergency Preparedness Committee.
I move we approve the meetings from the joint.
Okay.
And public safety emergency preparedness meeting.
Thank you. All right. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right. We're up to our first guest of the day, Mueller Communications on referendum planning, because as everybody's seen, just in pretty basic, boring budget next year. We're about 150 in the hole, and that would be before this cost. So if you could please go ahead and introduce yourselves for the crowd and us, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Can you hear me all right and see
I-
the screen?
Yep, we're good.
Yep.
Definitely. Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Cass Bergman. I'm a senior director at Miller Communications. Also with me today is my colleague, Margaret Weiner. So happy to run through our presentation. Please feel free to interject questions throughout. Otherwise, we can address those at the end as well. So to begin, just want to briefly introduce you to Miller. We are a full-service communications firm based in Milwaukee, and we take what we call a 360-degree approach to our clients to make sure that we're bringing our diverse set of skills and services to each client in the right way. So some days we are working with different clients on helping solve crisis issues. Other times it's marketing plans. A role that we have often found ourselves in over the last few years is supporting municipalities like yourselves in going to referendum. So we've had a couple of initial chats with Travis, and so what we have here is really an informed proposal right now, just kind of based on some of those baseline needs. So we're happy to run through that today and again, refine that as needed going forward. We do have a pretty robust staff. There's about 40 of us now, and so we tend to pull in different smaller client teams to best serve each client. We do have a really interesting skill set among this group. We've got some former journalists, some folks that have worked in both federal and state legislature, as well as local municipalities as well. So like I said, have pulled this recommendation together based on some initial conversations with Travis and the referendum education and communications support that might be needed in Wind Point. So our preferred approach for referendum communications is what we call a three-phased approach. So each step of that process is designed to provide a pretty wide range of opportunities for residents to get informed on community's needs, ask questions, and provide feedback. So this phase usually transpires over a course of about 9 to 12 months. We tailor that again based on the needs of the community and what what election we might be going toward. The timeline that we have presented here for you later today, or later in this deck, I should say, is for an August 2026 referendum. So obviously able to adjust that as needed. So in our first phase, what we do is we work with municipal officials to really develop a comprehensive document that outlines the options for a community and the situation that you're facing in Wind Point. So the goal of that is to have community members have digestible information about the situation and what potential options are available to help solve that need. Oftentimes, referendum is in one of those sets. Sometimes after this process, it's identified that there might be some other ways. I know you were talking about a grant writer earlier. There might be some additional levers that can be pulled to help figure out what those financial needs are for the community and work that way. But over the course of this about 2 months, we worked together to, again, build a document that outlines those options, and it is usually about an 8-page PDF that we are able to then hand over to the municipality. You can put on your website, present that to residents and others to really just document the need of what is happening. From there, we kind of move into our second phase. And so what we usually recommend is a community survey that's mailed to all homes in the community. And so the primary purpose of that survey is to gather feedback from the community, but it also serves a couple of other important purposes. First, guidance. So the outcomes of this survey can really guide elected officials through the choices that they'll need to make, helps provide important insights and data points to help the community prioritize what it most needs in terms of services and options. The second, this is a really important touch point in terms of education. So again, we say that we mail this to all homes and residents within the community. We don't want to pick and choose or, have a smaller sample set. We really want to send this out to everyone so they understand what the village is working on, and B, can start to get more engaged and start to learn more. We know often that while we do create that document in our first phase, not everybody reads it. And so again, this is another important educational touch point that we can use to provide key facts about the options that are in the consideration set for village officials. So each survey, again, mailed out has a unique code, so we make sure that there isn't any double dipping in terms of the survey. We work with often our partners' community perceptions. They are very well versed in doing surveys of this nature. So after this, your community's gone through phase 1, the options assessment, phase 2, the survey. And this is really a decision point then for municipalities. So whether or not you feel that you've got the support and the right plan and approach to go forward with a referendum. So if a municipality does choose to move forward, then we move into our last phase, which is community education. The goal of this is an educational effort for residents. As many of you know, municipalities are not allowed to advocate. So this is a purely educational campaign, outlines the question that would be on the ballot, what a yes vote means, what a no vote means, what the tax impact is for a median home within the community, and other narrative details to help residents really get a robust understanding of the situation. So at the core of that plan is us working with a municipality to develop a narrative. It's a messaging document. It's pretty robust in nature sometimes when we get to the end, but it's got a lot of stats and data points about the need, why the community is going for this ask, deficit options, again, that have been evaluated. And that messaging is something that is village officials and electeds are able to use when talking about the referendum. But more importantly, it's what we use to then develop a number of other educational materials to get out to residents. So a couple of those different pieces that we end up pulling together, direct mailers. So this is actually a situation where direct mail, you might think it's a little bit antiquated, but it is actually a very good way for us to reach all residents within a community. We usually do a series of direct mailers, again, that use fact sheets and things to outline what is on the ballot and tax impact, yes vote, no vote, all of that. We also work to develop different posters or displays that could be held up or posted in different village properties. A presentation deck that village officials then can use to present at information sessions and other community presentations. We also develop online content, so website content, social media content, a video, e-newsletter. So we work with work to right-size a plan to develop the right materials to use in the touch points that the village has available. We also work through earned media coverage, so developing news releases and advisories that the media can pick up and use to also articulate what is on the ballot and the needs within the community. So I know I've been talking quite a bit, but last but not least, I have a few other slides here. So the first is our timeline. So again, in chatting with Travis, we've developed a timeline for an August 2026 referendum. So that would put us in the spot of doing the options assessment in November through January, that survey phase in early spring Q1, Q2. We want to make sure that this is done early enough so that you all have enough time to digest the results and figure out a path forward. One of our biggest time, I don't remember if we have it on, no, we don't. The date that we really want to make sure that we're aligned on is ensuring that a referendum question can be voted on appropriately by your village board. Referendum questions are due to the county clerk 70 days before an election. So we want to make sure, again, that there is enough time for a board to consider that, and then also make sure that you're meeting that deadline as well. That deadline for an August referendum is June 2nd, by the way. So then if a referendum is the path that's chosen, that referendum education phase would then really cascade throughout June, July, and August. I believe this is also in your packet, but we have outlined an initial budget for this 3-phase work. Phases 1 and 2, we always budget together because that's usually how we outline that. And then we've also developed a budget for phase 3 that we have slightly independently, just in case that is not the option that is chosen by village officials. So I know that I have talked quite a bit, so I want to pause there for questions, thoughts, anything from those in the room.
I mean, it looks great. I mean, you gave a whole bunch of case studies that are in our packet and are available to the public. I'm sure our residents, if they went through who are here today and online, did see those case studies. It looks pretty thorough to me. I like the direct mail. I know the folks in the crowd like the direct mail because some people in the village were older village, you know, not always as much tech going on, so that's great. This isn't gonna be your average referendum where it's, let's say, a bigger municipality and everybody goes, hey, it's $50 on my tax bill every year. I mean, $100,000 divided by 774 houses roughly is a $1.30 almost a piece. You know, we're already in that kind of hole technically, starting to use reserves. So that if we plan, I guess, you don't want to do this multiple times, obviously.
No.
So if we go, let's say, and say, hey, we gotta basically go for $500,000, you know, okay, that's 5 of those $1.30s. You know, somebody like me is gonna go, oh my lord, my taxes are going up $750 right off the bat to close this gap and sort of delay, you know, till the village would have to do probably another referendum unless the state changes the way they work. So probably got our work cut out for us, but the reality of it is we're here today. Did you guys have questions?
No,
concerns?
but the dates on
Yeah,
that are.
I think they updated them, yeah, they
Yeah,
updated them.
because that kind of.
Yeah, that was, apologies. We sent that through to Travis yesterday, just based on a question that
fine.
he provided. So I think the original proposal that we had sent was was it April 2027?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah. So I think one of the other considerations is that a few years ago, they've lifted the restrictions on when referenda are able to go on the ballot. So you can place them on February, April, August, or November ballots. Just really depends on other things that the community might have on the ballot. If there's also school referenda, depending on local elections. We've done a little bit of, I mean, we've worked on quite a few referendums at this point and have really tried to look back to see if there is like a for sure, you know, criteria when thinking about it. And it's really, it all comes down to what's happening locally within your communities.
Well, it makes sense to do it in August because of,
Budgeting.
Budgeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
November would be too late.
Yeah, that's something that many municipalities are considering right now, is just not wanting to prep two budgets with either scenario. So
I have a question. With the other referendums, you work with other communities, is there any lessons learned that we should be aware of?
what a good question. I think it's really just making sure that you've got the data and the statistics, honestly. So I think we've worked with communities that have really, like, everyone has a strong and compelling need. Let's just start there. But I think making sure that each municipality has done its homework, looked at all of those different options, and is really just being transparent about what is happening within the community and what will happen if that funding isn't secured. I think it's really just making sure that you've got that tight story overall. I will say their alignment with electeds is also important. So I know that not everyone is probably aligned with it, but just making sure that everyone knows how to talk about the referendum in a way that is compliant with not advocating for it, but just strictly just talking through the educational nature.
So
But
to
again-
that, well,
Yeah,
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. So to that point, I know staff can't advocate. You've got a village board who gets elected by people who, you know, and there will be turnover in the spring, you know, possibly, you know. Are village boards and village presidents not allowed to say, hey, we think this is in the best interest at all? Just so we know not to cross the line.
It's a really tricky, it's a gray area. So
Okay.
we've got some best practices that I can also share with Travis as to like what counts as education, what counts as advocacy. But this is ultimately a question that we usually engage city attorney or council on, just to make sure that they're the ones that are helping to just define what that is. Because it is like when you wear your elected hat, you usually have to talk about it in that educational way, but then like Joe citizen who's talking to his neighbor, that's kind of where that gray area comes into play. So we, again, usually defer to, oh my gosh, did I freeze?
No, you're good, huh?
Okay, sorry, no, I froze and I was like, oh gosh,
You're
mic drop.
fine.
Mic drop in the middle of that point. We usually just defer to council to make sure that everybody's on the same page.
Okay, that sounds good. We just had a training council on something different in the village, the council that they put on zoning and all that.
Absolutely.
All right, other questions? No?
No, I think probably more and more communities are doing this because of the restrictions with the levy limits.
Well, you know, I mean, give or take, we got $2 billion in the bank, you know, and some people say, oh my God, and that's great. That's great. Thank goodness we had it, because we didn't do other things. Now we're in the position we are, and the state definitely hasn't helped municipalities like us out. You know, we're the redheaded stepchild, you know, to the state of Wisconsin. And so, I mean, there'll be some people who go, just use up that money, but I don't know. The attitude on this board that I am aware of, I'll just speak for myself, is I don't want to blow through that money, you know, and not have it for something else that comes up. You know, like a study like this, you know, we didn't have that money, you know, well, we have to go out and borrow it, you know, you can't get your bank account, even in your personal life, too low, so. I think that's why we're taking a look and brought you in today and all that. Okay. Do we have a motion?
It's further down in item 9.
Yeah, all right, so we're just gonna wait till that point in time when we're going for the lesson. Okay. Sounds good. Any other questions? No? Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for coming out today, and I'm sure we'll talk again, whether it be sooner or later. This village will have to do something like this, so
Yeah.
appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And my boss, James, who's not able to join us today, he always says, we would love to honestly work ourselves out of this work to make sure that there's a better state solution, because there are a lot of municipalities that are also in this boat. So we definitely feel for you, but please relay any other questions to us so that we can just help as you consider your next steps.
Appreciate you. Thanks so much, Cassandra.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye. All right, thank you for that. Okay, review and possibly take action on the grant writing proposal for public facility building for the Village of Wind Point to Placard State funding. So Travis, help us out here on that.
So Governor Evers announced, last month, for the end of the month, that there's $50 million in grants available for local community development projects statewide. You can see the press release that's outlined there. There's a 50% match on the grant, to help for, those funding opportunities, left over from ARPA. So the deadline is on the 31st. So we have the league is in partner with Lexipol on grant writing services, and we have an account with them that kind of outlines like grants that are available every so often, and then they do grant writing and they provide a discount of 5% to being a league member. And so I kind of met one-on-one with them to outline what project we have, and the biggest thing was the grant wouldn't be available if you did not have any plans. You didn't hire a construction manager, you didn't hire any of that. But since we do have those things outlined, we do have a pretty good chance of getting that. So you have to have all your documents in a row and shovels ready for any kind of grant that is out there. So that's was important to outline that we had everything ready to go by the time the grant was awarded. So they went over the documents we have so far spent on, and they said that there's a pretty good chance, especially with it being a public facility that would operate, and the community room, that's kind of the village boardroom, voting, accessibility. That was a big hit for them because it would engage public facility activities that you could put a scheduled fee together to rent that out. So they were very happy on that part because that adds to the grant even more. So they were very happy with that, and adding an ADA accessibility bathroom on the outside of it for the park. They said that would be even better to get a chance on the grant as well, since there's not an ADA bathroom by the park. So that was the outline. In the proposed packet, they would bill us $5,700 to do the grant work, and all the writing for that, and the document prepared to be able to submit to the state a proposal. So that's the contracts in there. The information on the grant is also in there as well. So
So it looks like according to the press release, this was 5 days ago. Is that right? Top, what is this?
2020.
No, when it got renewed in
Renewed,
2025, but I just see at the top of the pages where it says 10/25, 12/38 press release, or is that when you printed it?
oh, where do you see it?
At the top of all the pages?
Oh, yeah, that's the date printed, yeah.
Okay, but okay, it's
For
fine.
immediate release is September 10th.
September 10th, okay, all right. All right.
And then the other document just shows like who's on the committee, types of examples. And the building commission is chaired by the governor and made up of the following members. So that just outlines the previous one and how they allocated the grants for those.
Yeah, I looked at the previous grants and there were community centers and veterans and there's a lot down here for some other things, and it did make, and then safe haven and all that. It did make me feel good that there were some municipal dollar amounts like to the city of Baraboo and Sun Prairie and all that, so that, you know, they weren't just looking at certain groups, you know, getting at, there was,
Right.
everybody was, it was sort of an umbrella, taking a lot of different types of groups and all that, municipalities included in that. If that wasn't the case, I would say this would be a non-starter because they have no history of helping municipalities, but so that was good to see in here.
It's not something.
Also very good that we have been going through this process, so we had all that paperwork in hand. Otherwise, we would not have a shot at doing this at all.
Yeah, a lot of the grants are though, if you don't have
Yeah.
everything, ready to go, you can't even apply for them.
All right, I see nothing wrong with this. I know we're still a ways away on any building. But if you,
Sort of limited to how much money can.
$2 million is the most the project could get. And or what, 50%, I think, whatever, 50%, or I think 2 million was the cap, so, but, you know.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I talked to them about. Again, any grant that's out there, you have to have plans, just like the outdoor recreation plan that we're doing. You have to have a plan in order to apply for grants and show that you're actually interested in the project instead of just for say, in a budget line item, so.
Yeah, now give us the money and we'll figure out how to spend it.
Yeah, right. So. All right, then the motion, or you want me to make it?
Oh, I have.
What?
Well, I printed all this stuff up so that I had it.
Okay,
I just gotta grab it. It's in one of my-
got your motions pre-ready? Oh, and Travis, this packet today is extremely well done. I love the memos. I love the different options that you give. I think it's great for the public to go through it so they understand how things could go or not go and or be tabled, of course. So,
Yeah, they're memorandums are not resolutions.
very, very well done to lay it out for us and for everybody else who's interested in looking at it. Thank you.
That's the one I didn't print.
Okay, okay. All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we enlist Lexi Poll for the grant writing for the possible village municipal building in the amount of 5,700 as detailed in our village packet.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstain? All right, 300 on that. Thanks for having led us and steered us in the right direction so we'd even have this opportunity, whether it comes to pass or not. I don't think it would be money wasted if it could get us up to $2 million that this village needs. And the ADA compliance is something people don't talk about when they talk about other options, but. All right, review and possibly take action on Ayler's contract to do a 2026 conventional water case. Travis, I'll have you sort of lead us off on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so the PSC has approved the 2025 conventional water rate case. But unfortunately, that was just to dig ourselves out of the hole we're currently in.
Okay.
So Eller's in their packet of information that we've retained to collect that data and that planning. Has suggested that we have to do another conventional water rate case for continuing to plan for reserves and funding of future projects to make sure we're getting in the right direction on that. So the next step would be to do another conventional rate case, but after that, there would be inflationary cases to just make sure we're keeping up with inflation. And other considerations would be just if Caledonia were to raise their rates, we would allow to do that rate adjustment as well within a certain timeline. I think there's a short timeline to be able to kind of cover that gap if they were to do those. So they are willing to do another conventional rate case with us. They're hoping it's easier than this year's, just because we did find a lot of issues in the utility accounts and just stuff that was neglected. So I think that it shouldn't be as long and rigorous, but still, you never know with the PSC, they could find anything. So, but that's kind of where we're at. So they would do another long kind of analysis of the utility to make sure we're ready to go for the future too. So
Again, to reiterate what you said, so the first case that we did is just sort of bringing us up into the currents and make sure we're not negative. And then this one would be the long-term planning with what we have in the CIP, with what Public Works needs as far as all the hydrant replacements, which are $7,500 a pop, not to mention the work. And then after that, like you said, it would just be, inflationary ones. And to your point of Caledonia, just so that I can make sure everybody in the room, including me, has this down. If Caledonia raises their water rates, do we have to go to the PSC with a normal inflationary, or that's sort of like
a separate one?
That's a separate.
Yeah.
So we've got full rate case, inflationary rate case, we've got Caledonia or our supplier rate adjustment rate case. Okay, just so everybody, we make sure we educate.
They still have to go through the PSC, all three of those.
I get it, but there's 3 different kinds. Okay. Well,
Can I just ask a
go ahead,
question? So this, how's this gonna affect my water bill?
So we talked about that, that's in the financial management plan, so I would revert to you looking back in that financial management plan, it broke out the next 5 years up until 2030 on the impact on the water bill.
Okay, so that's all included in that. I mean, I just did
Yeah.
simple math. It's like $40 a year or something like that.
Yeah, so that's all that data's in there.
$40 a quarter.
Yeah, depending how much you use and all that, yeah.
And then, I mean, it's all estimated to, the PFC has the final say on the increases. The judge that oversees that gets that final verdict, so.
And are we fully approved with them now?
Yes, the rates will go in effect. That just happened like the end of last week, for the 2025 rates, so.
Okay.
That will be billed at the last quarter.
Are we gonna get something out to? the
Yeah,
public?
yeah, we'll be putting in the newsletter, to make sure that people are aware that that will be coming. And there'll be an update next, the coming board meeting as well. But we have it posted at village office, the new rates as well, so it's online already as well. So it's all been posted, accurately, so, but we'll have something in the e-newsletter, just like we did last year, forming of another rate case or.
All right, well, we don't have these kind of people on hand, so.
No, I am totally understand
Where we are,
Yes. reading this.
yeah.
So I move to approve an increase in the stormwater utility.
No,
rate.
that's not it. This is just the Ailer,
Oh, I'm
water
sorry.
utility.
I have I have it right there. Ready to go.
Yeah, so this is the water utility one.
Page 53.
Well,
Page 53.
oh, I was totally on the wrong one. But I'm ready for that one.
He's got it actually typed
Oh,
up.
there's water.
If you want to make that motion.
Okay, well, that's it. That's what I said. I'm like, I'm ready. Got it all printed up.
53, middle 53, so the bottom's white.
Okay, I will do that.
Travis, do you want to introduce everybody in the crowd to, we have new system here, right? New mics, new cameras, so to speak.
Yeah,
How that works?
yeah, it's a
Because we
new,
see different faces up here, mine sometimes people in the back.
yeah, it's catching up on chatter and motion that you do, so it catches that. And it'll record everything that's still in the room, so anything comments, it kind of focuses on that person that's speaking. And so that you can see who's talking, so it's a new system, we're still getting used to it, it's the first time we're trying it, it's Teams. Just like Zoom, you just click and join, and then you just join in the waiting room and we admit you in, and there's no connecting, I don't have any more wires. And we don't have to pay for a Zoom subscription then to be able to cover it, since we already paid for Microsoft 350. So it's a different system, but great service that we have now to be able to connect better, I guess, with like people that are speaking. So it kind of picks up a little easier. So we don't have the whole microphone in the middle. But yeah.
So good, appreciate it. I just want everybody to know. That's all.
Okay, I have the motion.
All right.
I move we recommend the village board approve the municipal advisory agreement with Ehlers and Associates for the test year 2026 conventional water rate case.
Second. All in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, 3-0 on that. All right, we got a whole bunch of things regarding the budget. Travis, if you would like to sort of just walk us through, and everybody in the crowd,
Sure. So on the screen now, I'll stop sharing that. Share. You'll see the budget book here on the screen. This is the summary page that will get posted after the October board meeting, for the public hearing. It does show our deficits as predicted by Ehlers after doing our data collection with them and retaining them on. Obviously, it's pretty clear that we have had that deficit. So there's a 0.0 increase in property taxes right now. So you'll see that it's like 0.04.
so $451. is all we can increase this year,
Correct, yeah.
huh?
Overall,
Yeah, that's gonna run a village. Okay, good.
So this is the summary, page, so resolutions are there,
Yeah.
still working that out. You'll see the projected, mill rate for the village goes down to $2.80. Again, that's projected because the Board of Review has not yet met to finalize, the roll. So once that's finalized, if we hit 100%, we hit 100%, this should be it. If we hit 0.98, we have to take the equated value of the manufacturing roll and multiply that by 0.98. If we hit 98% of the market, of the fair market value for the state of Wisconsin, and that will then kind of fudge with that assessed tax rate per $1,000 equalized value. So on that new tax rate, on that, on the bill or the letter that you got from Associated Appraisal, you can use that number and it will give you pretty much what you were paying last year with the new mill rate, because last year was $4.64. It gets down now to $2.80 projected, emphasize projected. And so you could do that by multiplying your new value of your home divided by 1,000, multiply that by the 280 on that projected.
And you'll have your village portion of
And
that.
that will be your village portion, the property value for your tax bill due to.
And the average village, like it said in the letter from Associated Appraisers, went up 67%. Again, we haven't done that in 9 years. We've had a big COVID run and things. I'll use myself, I like using myself as an example, just mine went up 73%. So I'm gonna pay more. And everybody who was 67 or less should pay less. Okay, so if you're 71, you're gonna pay more. I was 73. Is what it is.
Yeah, it's 80%.
You were 80, oh, you were 80, huh? They came and got you hard.
that new bathroom.
And the big thing is that they're catching up from now, like last year, but not even just last year.
Yeah.
All the way back to 2016, they have to
Right.
take the trends. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of catch up
Yeah.
to where we're at, and the market has changed dramatically. So in the proposed budget for this year, I've asked Associated Appraisal to restructure how the village has usually done this. Instead of doing just letting do maintenance years every year, I believe that there should be an even year maintenances and odd years market adjustments so that we're keeping up with the state's minimum requirement to not go down below 0.95, 0.90. And that's when you see these big changes in the mill rate and these bigger increases. So a contract will come back to the finance committee and approved to the board, but there would be from 2026 to 2030, every other year maintenance, every other year adjustments to the market. So that would then help with not seeing those up and down increases. So
And instead
a
of
lot of communities do that, like probably 95% of the communities in the county do that. So, and that helps with just making sure we're keeping in that 0.95 under that mark.
So that's one, so then boards don't end up procrastinating on accident, you know? And then, so we also don't get hit with $60,000 bills at one time. You spread that out and now it's a consistent number in the budget. So I think that's a great idea.
Also, we'll have a unified increase in taxes to school district.
Yeah.
35 cents, $35.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah.
anything we have control over.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I'll guess we'll jump to revenue. There's no change in taxes collected. There is a decrease in intergovernmental revenue on transportation aid of about 7.2%. Again, that formula is based on the more roads projects you do and updates and improvements, that number goes up. So the number went down this year. Increase in shared revenue was also a little bit of an increase, but that kind of offsets from the other. So we saw a 3.4% increase in that. That's tied to the sales tax of the state of Wisconsin. So the more you buy, the more we get back in our state share revenue. That formula was changed in 2020. I believe.
Yeah,
or
2023.
So nothing really different on that other than those two big items there for intergovernmental revenue.
Would one of those, and do we get any benefit from the sales tax in Racine County?
No,
None.
Waukesha County was, when they were trying to pass their 0.5 sales tax, they were gonna give a percentage because you can only do increments of 0.5. You can't do anything like 0.2, you have to do 0.5. So Waukesha County was actually, their county executive proposed sharing that because they didn't need all the 0.5. They said we would share it with municipalities as an extra intergovernmental revenue. The county never, and that was before my time, but the county never invited, I don't believe, anyone to the table to have those discussions. I don't know if they did or not, but I mean, that's before my time, but again, there's no benefit to communities to receive that extra 0.5 that the county gets for receiving, so.
Okay.
Unfortunately, maybe when they do another increase down the road, we could be part of the table,
Well, that all happened.
pretty fast.
Well, yeah, but when Jonathan Delagrange passed away and it just, you know,
So maybe the next time they do it, someone can be at the table to make sure we can at least be
I
part of it.
know we are getting some benefit from some of those, radios that Chief talked about.
right,
So
right.
there is some
But
benefit,
that
but,
was before
No.
the tax.
oh, okay.
That was
Okay,
way
all right,
before
that
the
way
tax.
we're done, okay. I know you go to those meetings all the time.
Yeah.
We did decrease fines, for tickets down to 42,500 just on trends and, budget of, last year actual, so, lowered that down to, 42,500. The only thing we're waiting on is the North Bay Police Service still, just because we, use September's, CPI on that. So that doesn't come out until the 15th, so we'll have their new number for them here shortly. But,
You'll probably go up a couple bucks from that.
yeah, as just a placeholder to show
All right.
2.5 has been kind of around there, but, we'll see.
Our donations drop off a cliff, it looks like.
Yeah, we historically really don't budget that much for donations. It's very interesting.
It's gonna come in.
Hard.
I guess.
We budgeted conservatively on the market for the interest income. But then your fund balance, whenever the budget's done, we've worked out all the issues, your fund balance will be applied to cover the deficit, and it'll be taken out of reserves of cash to cover the village's operating to be able to balance. So historically, that's how it's always been done. So whenever we're done and we've made the adjustments, that will be the fund balance applied part of that.
And you also took down the money market interest in the middle of the screen over there by about 10 grand, so.
Yeah.
So that was a nice little pocket of change that came in when rates were up. A little bit of it left, but that's another thing in any kind of referendum and modeling that going to continue to go down.
Any questions on revenue
Mhm.
for 2026 proposed?
Only that on, just on on the miscellaneous, when we have big dollar amounts, like for year to date, under, the line item 48,000. If you can just put in the side what that is,
Yeah,
I mean, I realize that's probably the donation,
yeah,
but there's
That-
$110,000 donation year to date, but above it, it's
the
165,000.
165 is the selling of the Deepwood property.
Okay, so I would just
That's-
make a
and that-
note so we know what that is.
And that's the gross receipts before some expenses.
Yeah, just a note, so, when you look at it.
Inflationary upkeeps was the big thing on expenses to the general government stuff. And combined some of the accounts that were used to be separated into the other accounts. So we've merged a couple accounts just to the new workhorse summary. Doesn't kind of track that, so we've updated some of the accounts. Your elections have gone up just because notices of having 4 elections possibly next year and getting some upgrades to that to make sure we're ready to go for 4 elections possibly. So we've got that budgeted for, just an FYI, so. But nothing really.
So you see the assessor goes down at the top there from about 46,000 because it goes to the $16,000 maintenance you talked about. So
Yeah.
62,000, so that's good to know.
So if we go to maintenance and then, what was the other year? Maintenance 1 year and then
A market adjustment.
market adjustment, so will that just be consistently 8,000 a year
It'll be,
with inflation?
so the new number would be 16,000 a year. because it's more to do a market adjustment. It's 10,000 to do maintenance a year.
Okay,
So
that's better than 60,000 in one
Yeah,
year.
one time, all the time, yeah.
And then would that, stop us from having to do a complete revaluation, or do you still have to do that within 10 years?
as long as you're still within that 0.95 to 100% mark.
And you don't have to.
Is
go
that
through
good?
the whole rigmarole.
That would be good, save some money, because. Thank you.
Public safety, nothing, no real big changes into public safeties, fire, police, and building, nothing really changed there. Any questions on public safety?
No,
DPW, again, not big changes, thanks to Scott for saving money for the village.
and move some things around, like you said, with classifications and. You know,
But recycling went up about 3.2% in each category, or the collection for each one, about 3.2%. So
so that's your Johns, everybody, you know, and contract the village has with them is just based on CPI, which is honestly amazing. But the capital they have into their equipment to do that is just, we're lucky that we got that kind of contract.
going to the health side of things, Wind Point Lighthouse expenses, we have increased that a little bit just for the grounds, to get done a little bit more work for that. So that was something that was kind of discussed more at the park level committee, on an issue that they wanted to address. So we increased it a little bit for them to be able to address those kind of topics for next year, and be able to do that. So
So, yeah, to your point, so again, I make a couple notes, so I'm gonna share them with everybody. So lighthouse revenues, we got projected down 13.3%. Again, they're not huge dollar amounts. So don't focus on a percentage, but I'm just giving to you. And expenses, like you just said, Travis, it's only $7,000 and change, but it's on a percentage basis, it's a 26% increase. So, you know, lighthouse isn't a cheap thing to have, but we have it.
the culture, Racine County intergovernmental agreement went down $658. So
Are they still suing us?
yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
um,
no update on that?
no update. They're still just running data and charts and
Gotcha.
retaining people to see what they are doing. But we're kind of the small dog because we don't have a change. But Mount Pleasant's kind of the big dog on that.
Yeah, we don't have data centers, we don't have water, we're not stealing anything from the city or seeing.
So,
Okay,
yeah, that would pay a big chunk of it for it.
gotcha.
Nothing big on culture, conservation, development, capital projects. That been really big there. Any questions on the operating side of the budget?
Oh,
I'll move to the water and storm accounts quickly. Water is the new projected revenue stream from the rate increase here, you'll see, so that's there. Helps just a shy bit on collecting a little bit, but that's the projected of expense and revenue for the village's utility accounts. That works, put this budget together.
what's the biggest concern, Scott? Just the outside services is going up.
A lot.
Could you just
Uh,
fill us all in just real quick?
well, outside services would involve, like today, we're doing water meter testing. We need to do we're required to do on our commercial meters,
Okay,
like council house, swing spread, stuff like that.
Alright.
They need to be done and spread out over the last 10 years.
okay,
We do a certain amount every year. There's that, there's the incidents that we have on, for instance, over on 4 Mile Road, the last 2 weekends. We've had incidents over there and contractor comes in and he's at, $7-8 grand a pop, depending on how long it takes them. We are required by the PSC to flush and maintenance our hydrants and determine whether or not they're satisfactory for fire prevention, every year. And the ones that don't qualify, which we have 17 of right now, need to be replaced, and those are at $7,000 for labor to replace those, and about $7,000 to $8,000 in material to replace those. So
So
it's about 15
15,000
grand,
a hydrant.
13 to 15 grand per hydrant that need to be replaced.
Okay. Does any kind of a group like the DNR force us when we have 17, or can we
No,
fix, like you said? I think you had in the budget like 4 a year or something like that.
Yeah.
So we are
make it
allowed.
manageable. They don't expect you to blow your whole, budget just to do those. So they
Okay.
still operate, they just don't operate at the gallons per minute that's required. It's like 700 gallons per minute. We have a gauge that we put on our flusher that when we flush them, we know if they produce that much or not. So that's how we get the information.
Are we liable if there's a fire and there's a defective hydrant?
No, I mean, I don't think so. That would be a legal question to ask our lawyer, but I mean, we're doing our due diligence to, we're playing catch up because that's why we were tagged by the DNR last spring, summer, when they told us that we didn't have any of that information. So we're playing catch up. We're finding out these things now. We're doing our, due diligence on replacing those. We replaced 3 of them already.
Mhm.
So one on Main Street, one on Raven Turn, and one on Parkfield.
How often do we have to do this check?
Once a year.
Once a year?
And all the dead end hydrants that we have, we need to do twice a year. Just because of water quality issues that we're required to flush those out twice a year.
Okay.
Recommended to, but we like to do it to make sure. And then, the other outside services would be like lab reports. They added a new test that we have to do for lead and copper. That's the big thing going through the DNR right now, is called the LCRI. And it's basically lead and copper reform. It's bigger for, your older communities like Milwaukee and Racine and those that have lead service lines. We don't have lead service lines, so we're okay that way.
How about the cider?
They are concerned about the copper and the solder. That has a little bit less, but right now it's on the local municipalities to come up with the list and the information for the DNR. And I talked to the DNR about it. And it's basically for them to figure out how they're gonna approach the funding to repair all these for the communities, because they know they can't afford to replace 100,000 service laterals. Municipalities can't afford that, so they're looking out for ways to help the municipalities with that cost. But they're having us do the legwork for it. And give
So
them
they
the
have the data
information.
and all that, yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Appreciate that on the outside services.
And we're doing our best to limit the amount of incidents, but it is what it is.
Things get older. All right, Charles.
So that's kind of your big summary of the proposed 2026 budget. Big thing is deficits, and then the outlined items that we'll review. Now, I guess if we're good to go to the next A through G, the
Okay.
the items.
All right. All right, so the first one is memo here on the CIP approval items. Number 1, municipal facilities, 4.2. Department of Public Works Administrative equipment, that's in there, right? 61,200, Travis? For DPW equipment and a new copier for the village?
Yeah, so I guess facilities, everyone knows there's a building in the CIP, planned, not approved, planned. Equipment, a couple things for DPW, would be, trailer back unit, trailer, and a copier for the village office, to replace. Those items outlined to be 61,200. And then your roadway improvements include 4 Mile Road being redone, the water mains being redone, the stormwater being done as well, for 2026. And those would be financed by debt obligation, when the village goes out to bid for those projects. And then I guess, there's issues that have to be addressed on what you want to do for the design work for 2026 to plan for your next road project. We're working on updating a 10-year plan to kind of stretch things out a little farther, than what was proposed, because after we worked with Ellers through the data, we realized how expensive things are going up and continue to go up in cost. So, I'm working with our engineer to come up with a different kind of plan to outline a stretch more, and cutting up the roads so that they're not like a mile long of repairs, and kind of structuring them to be a little smaller. So we can handle it a little easier, just so, because, I mean, it's expensive. And, there's those options that have to be considered, I guess, by the committee as well, on direction. So there's, the overview of the CIP, and then I guess the road projects for 2027 and plan for 2026. Right now, we've got Fairway as a design, to be able to redo that and the utility there. But that can change, or we don't have to do anything. I don't know as well.
Oh, so Fairway and Red Wing that are mentioned in here, their water lines, correct me if I'm wrong, what, 1966?
Top of my head, yeah.
About 60 years there.
Most of the village is 1966.
66. So we could do 2 roads and it'd be cheaper, but it ignores the eventuality of the water. Are the water lines off the roadway?
Yeah, but you would still affect the roadway, but
Yeah.
you know, there's ways to approach it, like Travis said, and talking with the consultants and stuff. So, you know, there are roads that obviously need more attention than the water. So like, knock on wood, but we haven't had an issue on Fairway. So I'm not saying that it doesn't need to be replaced. I'm just saying if you wanted to renovate the road, because the road is so bad and it's not gonna get any better, you can delay that process and just do a quick mill and overlay or something to get the road into a better condition to last you 10 or 15 years. So you can address the water later on in a future project. And that all is taken into consideration when you look at this overall plan. It's not necessarily that both of them need to be replaced together. Some are still in relatively good shape, knock on wood again, that you would just have to renovate the road and rehabilitate the road and just give it, you know, slap some paint on it kind of a thing and paint it black just to make it look nice and a good ride quality for the time being to get you through. You don't need to road reconstruct every road in the village. It's not necessary. You know, there are some people that look at it like, hey, the road's fine. Why are you doing renovation on it? And it's because it's at a certain Pacer grade level that allows you to do a lot cheaper maintenance product than totally reconstructing the whole thing and wait until it completely dissolves before you do it. You can extend the life of it. So kind of like in consideration, like with Lake Meadow, it just got done 3 years ago. That should be tar sealed like now to prolong and get another 15 years or 10 to 15 years on it, because you're sealing up the cracks. You don't just let it go, because then it just degrades.
Is that some of the $5,000 that was in for next year's budget, Travis?
Crack filling on the,
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot more for the crack filling, but this is just a first rough draft to get it as a placeholder. I'm working on getting quotes to find out like truly how much it costs if they charge by some people, contractors charge by the amount of stuff they use. Some charge you by the linear foot of the road, no matter how much they use. Everybody's different. So it's just a matter of getting quotes. So it's just a placeholder for now, but that's kind of how you start the CIP
Yeah.
type scenarios. You just kind of figure all this stuff out.
Yeah, so we're not approving projects here.
Correct.
It's just like we had the financial management plan, what was it, last month? 2 months, 2 months ago.
Right.
You know, just because we had all these numbers and all these placeholders, it was just, hey, here's the roadmap. Feel free to use it when that specific project comes up.
Yeah.
And or move it around
Mhm.
based on realities after you've done all your homework.
Kind of gives you
So,
like guidelines and,
yeah.
you know, guardrails to stay in between to kind of give you a map to
So-
make a right decision.
So I'm gonna knock out the first one. I'm gonna make, go ahead.
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
yeah,
This
go
is
ahead.
because I just don't know. What's a back unit? VAC.
Okay, so everybody has a curb stop in their front yard that, has the ability to shut off the water to their property from the water main. And over time with landscaping and ground moving and all this other kind of stuff, the way the boxes were put in way back in the day, they were called buffalo boxes, and they're just, it's a tube that goes from the top where your blue cap is, and it goes down and it just basically sits like a saddle over your valve in the ground. Over time, that valve just gets inundated with dirt and muck and sand, and when it comes time for the plumber that wants to work on your house, or God forbid, you have an incident where you have a break in your line in your house and you got a leak in your house, you need to have that shut off, and we need the ability to back out that debris out of the bottom of that thing without digging up the front yard, so we can just put a key on it and turn it off and let the plumber do its thing. Right now, it's had 60 years worth of stuff that goes in there, and it's the same with the gate valves that are a little bit bigger that are in the road. It just has the ability to back out that debris that gets in there from road debris and landscaping and everything else.
So how are you able to locate those boxes?
I'm sorry.
How are you able to locate those boxes?
With a metal locator and just experience, and sometimes getting, the ability to go into someone's house and see where their water's coming in from the outside and
Yeah.
narrowing it down that way. But it's a time consuming thing because we don't have, nobody put down maps and locations of where it was in the past. So,
7 years ago, DPW come out and they couldn't find it.
right, and then people do landscaping and then, you know, they don't like hitting it with their lawnmower or tripping over it or whatever, so they cover it up and we can't find it, so it just takes time to find. Is it necessary? There's other ways of getting around it that we can do it. And not to cause a firestorm, but I, with that particular unit, that is gonna be a little tough for us to get. It's not that we don't need it, because we could always use it. However, it's a water induced unit, and we don't have the ability to store it. So we can't store it outside because it would freeze and crack, so. It's the whole building thing, but I'm just saying, for this particular unit,
Mhm.
I don't know if it's in our best interest right now.
So then why do we even?
We could look at figuring out a way to put it in the heated garage to keep it in there, but. You know, if we would need it, like we had voting in February this past year, we would have had to store it outside. And then it would have cracked, no different than our brine maker did to us when we had to store it outside, it cracked, so when we used it, it was leaking. Part of doing business.
And we rent,
So anything
can we
water.
rent these?
You can rent anything. I mean, there's opportunity to rent anything. It's just that if you want to rent it because when you want to use it is because you need it.
Correct.
And can you get it when you need it? That's the problem. So, you know, if we show up on a site and a plumber wants to do some work and the resident's upset because they want the water shut off so they don't have their basement flooding, they want it done right now. They don't want to hear you say, well, I need to contact Sunbelt Rentals and see if they have one available that we can go get and come back. So
But
Caledonia have one?
they have a big, huge sewer back that they have.
I'm just, you know,
That It's not as easy as it sounds just to call them up and say, hey, can you use your thing? I
Yeah.
mean,
No, I
you use
understand
your
that.
equipment, there's like that whole agreement that you have to get into and for shared services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's most of the time we get away with, just being friendly with each other and we'll help each other out as much as we can, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way.
But to your point of it cracking outside,
Storing a water used unit outside is not usually the best thing.
if we don't have a place to put it. And to buy it for it to break, to not be able to use it and.
I mean, we'll do the necessary precautions. We would have to stick like RV antifreeze in it every time we put it outside or something like that, just to make sure nothing cracked. We could blow it out the best we could, but as everybody knows, it has sprinkler systems in their yard. They can have a company come blow out the sprinkler systems as much as they can, but eventually they crack. You can't get everything out, so. It's just. It's something that we could use because you need it for emergency purposes. It's not necessarily something you do maintenance wise. It's more for emergency in the heat of the moment kind of, but. It's nice to have it. I just don't have the place to put it. I have nowhere to put it.
That's pointless at this point, if you have nowhere to put it.
I have nowhere
As
to
long as
put
the weather stays nice, but,
And
Not always that way.
Sunbelt Rentals, who else has them?
I was just using Sunbelt.
Oh, I got
Rentals.
you.
My guess is they probably don't have one.
Oh, okay,
I would have to go to like,
the county,
yeah,
Same.
or yeah, chances are they don't have a boatload of them, so they're probably using theirs. I can ask.
How do you deal with it now? Is it an older one?
Right now, we have a manual one
Manual?
that is just, we call it bird's mouth, but it's a handle that you clamp,
Uh-huh.
stick it down, you let it go, and the teeth down there go like this, and it clamps on whatever you can, so you're just, pulling stuff out, but you're not getting everything, You're limited as to what you can see, and you're looking down a pipe like this, 7 feet down in the ground, can't really see what's down there, so.
how often have you needed one?
Times a year. You think?
Pretty much we use it on everybody that calls us up for a water shut off.
Which is,
It's like 5 to 10 times this past summer. That we use it for. But those are all planned ones. We only had a couple of emergencies and those were last year.
I think that might be something to delay.
They weren't necessarily. Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
And we're not trying to make your life harder, it's just,
No.
if we're gonna crack it.
Well, I don't want it to crack either, and I don't want to do maintenance on it left or right.
I got you, well,
So,
I'd say that maybe we shelve that part of it.
Okay, and then
And
surveyors transit.
Surveyors Transit, we have one. We just started using it. It so far on the 2 properties that we used it on, it worked okay. It's very old. I mean, they're fine when they're old. They work the same, but some of the newer ones are a lot user friendly than the one we have. We're not engineers. We're doing the best we can
So you're
and.
talking about the things where you
Yep.
set them up and,
Yep, you look through and find, and, it's more related for the people that have the complaints about their ditches not draining. And there are several out there. I have a list on the bolt whiteboard in the office of people that are sick and tired of water being in their ditches and they can't maintain them. So they want that, and it's our obligation with the stormwater utility that fix those. So it's part of our duty.
how much is that roughly?
Surveyors Transit. You can get some pretty basic all the way to some pretty serious ones that are, computer and stuff, which we obviously don't need, but so far the one we have is doing what it needs to do. This was just something off for a wish list kind of a thing that would make our lives
Wow.
easier because we're just 2 people, so
About $10,000, am I saying?
somewhere in that range would be for a good one, yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, the one we have that now is so far working. We used it on 2 residents so far.
And then the equipment trailer, obviously.
That we need. That is the most definite, because we have no way of transporting our mini excavator from the garage to anywhere in the village without driving it.
Got you.
And that thing drives at about you can walk faster than that thing, so it takes
Okay.
forever to get across town.
Okay.
Or the skid
All
steer.
right, so
how much is that?
I think we've got a
You can pick
consensus.
up a used one for like 3-4 grand.
Okay. All right, and 10,000 on the surveyors is like the highest model, so to speak.
Yeah.
So you'll obviously do what you always do and do your best to see if it can come in lower than that. All right, why don't we take out the trailer vac unit for right now this year, Travis? And leave the other two items in. I think we have a consensus on this, here, different. Because we do have to still buy things. Because they're never gonna be cheaper. No road's gonna be cheaper, nothing's gonna be cheaper than it is right now. Just like none of us are gonna be younger than we are than right now. So. All right, roadways are what they are. So the 45,000 for design of fairway is. That's
So I guess
Pretty good guesstimate.
it's, you wanna pulverize and repave fairway, or do you wanna reconstruct fairway, or you wanna do nothing? Those are the options.
Well, I mean, we would technically, we'd have to do like core samples and stuff like that to see where it truly would need to be done, but we don't know that yet. So. That's all part of the design.
Yeah.
that's the
Construction.
rough 45,000 for design.
Yeah.
And that's just, and how long is that road roughly? You know,
How old?
how long is it?
I would only suggest doing from 4 Mile Road to Hollow Creek.
Oh, 900.
100 feet?
Yeah,
Okay.
rest of it is in relatively good shape.
Okay.
It's just that first portion that's bad.
Yeah.
But, you know, you start factoring in the water and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people don't have ditches, or I don't know if that was planned or if it was not planned, I don't know. They're using the road as transference of the water, which is not good. That's what the whole point of ditches are, to get to shed the water from the road, to get to the ditches, to get to your storm drainage. And when you use the road to transfer the water, it just degrades the road that much faster. That's typically what fairway is right now, so.
Okay.
But I'm hoping by having our consultant be very conservative in the design for 4 Mile Road, that we have some money left over from that original that they can utilize to start the design
We can't-
for fairway.
We can't do that though. They still have to approve which road we have to do though. So like, technically, we have to be able to decide moving forward, like,
Okay, so we have to pick a road,
so, I mean.
but we can still use that money because it's a general.
But I mean, it really just goes back, well, it's not a borrow, but I mean, and if you have any money left over the department to borrow, you shouldn't, because you're borrowing the exact amount that's coming in from
Yeah, I got you.
that big
I got you.
package, so. you
Yeah,
really shouldn't
from the
have
big
any money
package. Yeah,
Left over from anything,
okay,
so.
Yeah.
That's the big thing, we need
Alright.
to know if we're doing nothing, or if we're doing fairway, or if we're gonna do Red Wing, or reconstruct, pulverize, I mean, we have to know a direction.
so this is still just, again, placeholder, pick the next road, decide which way, because it still has to go to Public Works, right?
Well, if you're gonna pick a road, and you're going to now design it in 26. Ideally, we would then go to the Public Works Committee, decide, are we going to retain R.W. Smith, or are we gonna go out to request a proposal again for the design of the road, or, and then that would come through and then go through you guys again to deal with the finance of it, to
Sure.
review it, so just kind of like we did with 4 Mile Road, but I just need to know what direction you guys are comfortable with, to do stuff in 26 and 27 ideally.
Yeah, so
But
do the bigger things in 26, and then 28, and then 30 maybe. And then pick off a road within the village in the off years. Correct.
that, yeah, I mean, I don't make policy, that's
No,
a policy
okay.
decision
Well,
the board makes,
So
so.
I get it. So I guess we have to decide, the three of us at this point in time, and again, it can get changed. Is that what we want to do? And then when we're going down roads that have 60-year-old water, do we just do the road and hope the water doesn't start to break? Or do we do the water, you know? You know the answer to that. No, I don't, because there's some people in the village who will go, water's not breaking, just do it, but Caledonia doesn't care. Caledonia goes around, and the city of Racine goes around, as you know, and they do these so that things don't break. So I'm guessing is your answer, we should do the water and every time we do a road. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. So,
And
go ahead.
on Fairway, the 45 or the 386 in 2027, that's including the water, right?
No.
No, that's just the road.
That's just the road.
You know, anytime we talk about this kind of stuff, water and storm and road are all separate. We wouldn't do a.
Water is
all
$459,000.
inclusive.
So again, I mean, we don't have to do anything in 27. That is an option. Or we can go and just pulverize one of the roads, then that would be 200,000, 300. But then you're, to Carmen's point, that you don't do anything underneath and you risk cutting into a brand new road.
Yeah,
But that's for the board to decide. You guys,
but I think
we're just giving you
you
the
know,
risks and the recommendations.
we're starting to get, this is the board that's starting to get serious, well, not on purpose because it's thrust upon us. That this stuff is the age it is and nobody started. And so if we are gonna do this, then we probably should do things hand in hand. And maybe we have to do them slower, you know, and space them out like you're talking about. But the reality of it is we need to get around this village in the next 30 to 40 years. And so you might as well do them. And then when the next people, when I'm long gone, come through 40, 50 years from now, 60 years from now, they're gonna go, okay, we're gonna start again on 4 Mile, and then we're gonna go down and do the same order, most likely. You know, but we gotta do it. So,
Or we don't have to do anything.
yeah, well, that's what everybody else has done for the whole.
Well, and that's been the
career
problem,
of
is
this
nobody's
village.
done anything, and that's why we're where we're at.
Yeah, and all we would be doing is repeating that. So if I lose this job, I don't care. We're gonna do stuff that benefits people now and down the road.
And the Pazer rating, the lower is the worse.
Yeah.
road is.
That's how we have, and that's
So
how we have,
what we need to look
that's how we
at.
have to pick them off.
I have no.
Yes,
Well,
yeah, no, but.
that's where we will trust staff to say,
Right.
this is your most important road. You know, it's not like we're going to Carmen's Road or to your road and everybody goes, oh geez, of course you're going to
Mine has a
Carmen's
little
Road.
Pacer rating
Well, yours
too.
does have a little Pacer rating, so,
Yeah.
but we sure as heck aren't doing yours first, cause.
So I guess again, like your options are to reconstruct and then that's your, get everything new. And your third option is you just, you know, or your second option is to polarize and you risk again that part or you do nothing. So those are your three options that I've outlined for the board and the committee to consider.
Oh, I get what you're saying. So reconstruct is replacing everything underneath,
Yeah.
including the road.
Mhm, mhm.
Maintenance
So
is
what-
just
Can we,
doing the road and that's it. I got you.
so Travis, so then that's the
I think that's like,
CIP, so.
Policy going forward on how the board wants to address any road.
What?
Whether you want to reconstruct or just look at it on a case by case. You just want to say when you do a road, you're doing the utilities underneath and you're just. That's the way you're doing it from here on
Do
out.
we have a choice when anything's 60 years old?
They do, I mean, it's just the risk.
Well,
The
it is,
risk involved in everything.
Yeah, but again, these other municipalities, Caledonia's got $80 million in debt because they know they can't take it at one time, so they're going around. You know, we've got 60-year-old water, we can't just go throw.
Well,
So,
But Travis is doing his best
I know he
to, no, I mean, for like doing these doing these rate cases and stuff like that.
Yeah.
If we were doing them for the past 60 years, this probably wouldn't be a big conversation to have because you'd just be making the decision to take the money out
out
of
of
the
our bank
utility
account, yeah,
and pay for the water to be
Yeah,
redone. But since we're not liquid like that and we don't have those
Yeah.
funds, we
yeah.
have to address it a different way until those
Yeah.
funds get to that point where we can do that.
Well, I say we do,
At that point, you could take a break in 27 to make sure we're in a good spot for the utility. There is that point too.
Yep.
There's
It is.
a lot.
all right, I'll tell you what, let's, and you guys will have to give me consensus, let's just get through 4 Mile, take a year off, bring these next projects, be it Red Winger Fairway and or, let's say the curve up to the guardrail, at whatever point in time, because that's where we had a ton of breaks. Knock on wood, they moved to 4 Mile.
And then there's a chance, I mean, you take a break, we got the LRIP award to Scotts Point this year for this road.
mhm.
Our chances of getting it again is probably small because.
If we go back to back, so if we take a
If we
year
take a
off.
year off, come back with a new road and apply
Okay.
for the grant,
Alright,
then
so
we
for-
may have a better
Alright,
chance,
so-
so. Again, but that's a risk we got, you could get it.
Well, and the other-
There's risks to everything.
On the other side of it, none of this is going down in price either. So every time we make a decision to
So I had,
spread it out.
I had automatically 3% just to everything you plan out, so.
Yeah, I got it.
Planning 2 years down the road, I have 6% to that.
Alright.
It's up to you, it's your budget.
Alright. We'll make a,
I'm just giving you all the options, I'm just recommending, that's all I do. I know there's some people that think I make all the decisions, I do not make the decisions, so
no, that's fine.
I just wanna make that clear, I've given you all the options.
Alright, so I'm gonna make an approval to, I'll make a motion, I'm sorry. To approve the overview of 2026 CIP projects. With the deletion of the trailer vac unit. With the deletion under item 3, the $45,000 for future reconstruction of Fairway. And. That's it.
And what about the building?
Well, leave the building in just because nothing's approved. We don't have anything. We might as well leave it as a placeholder, and if we get $2 million, that changes the whole subject.
Okay, so.
Not only that,
To
we
include.
have to go through the options.
I removed, it's easier to remove.
But I still think you have to say what you're including.
It's right here.
I know.
It's right here. In the memo. So you want me to rip off all those things? So, okay, leaving in municipal facilities, 1. Leaving in item 2 with the exception of trailer vac unit. Leaving in only under item 3, 1.3 million for full construction of 4 Mile Road. Leaving in everything in the utility infrastructure because it pertains to 4 Mile Road. That's my motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. The motion was like I come back.
I'm reading all of
I know we
it.
have it, so now have it in there as a placeholder, but we haven't done any review to.
That we're getting to that. That's, did you see, that's item, you're thinking item 10, yeah.
And if
And-
you remove this item from the budget, you can just remove the grant. I mean, you won't qualify for the grant.
We haven't approved anything. This is
So I guess
just leaving it in as a placeholder.
Consideration, if you remove this and they don't see it in the budget, because you're gonna have to support budget documents and show what you're doing.
And that's the other thing.
You can't apply for the
Not
grant,
budgets in the CMP.
that's a
Yeah,
budget.
but
part of the
that was just part of the budget. And that was another thing to what Travis just said. When he told me, when I grabbed my packet, that thankfully we had all the other stuff. I knew if we take it out today, that we're immediately gonna be disqualified because he can't send them over anything in good faith that has it listed. So we have to leave it in.
Well,
That doesn't mean we have to do
it
it.
could come in lower when we decide.
Sure. And to put points from residents, restructure it a little bit and or not do it at all. So.
But you have to have it in there, and it has to
Yeah.
show that there's a source of funding in there to cover the other half.
It would be dead and.
And if you don't show that, again, it's just, you won't qualify.
I mean, if we get $2 million and you can build that hypothetically for the amount that they could have done it in 2010. With ADA compliance, none of any of the comment has ever addressed anything ADA compliant other than using this, and that's the other thing that's on here that we're gonna look at under item 10, review of an ADA study there, so that's my motion.
Okay, second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, let's stay 3-0 on that. So road project for 2027. I guess I'll make a motion to table that. Move that in future years, right, Travis?
Just the motion would be to not do any work in 2027.
All right, make a motion to not do any road projects in 2027.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, referendum planning. Cost us all $130 just to do that.
So yeah, you'll see in the memorandum, costs around $98,000 for Mueller Communications, $4,500 with Ellers, the financial analysis of it. That's not in the budget currently, so I'm looking for approval, to ensure that the village is in a long-term support to make sure we're not in a continued deficit plan for referendum in 2026 or April 2027. I need a direction on what you guys want on that.
Okay. So luckily, we came to the good side to the tune of almost $300,000 in donation of 100,000, 154, I think, after expenses on Deepwood, and then the fact that staff and parks got a lower bid than what was budgeted for 146. You take that 46, you add it to 154, and you add it to 100,000, and 300,000 is a good side this year that we don't have to fill a gap. So not to throw money away, but I think everybody in the room understands, including emails we've gotten from folks in the room about referendum is probably the smartest way to go. So I will make a motion to include or add 102,233 in the fiscal 2026 budget for referendum planning, including the 45,000 for Ehlers and 97,733 for Mueller Communications for public outreach and engagement services.
Second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? What?
I opposed.
You're opposed to it? Okay. 2-1-0 on that. All right. DPW employment. There's the ability to, I guess you would call it reduce or massage down, some of the hours reverting where, I'm sorry, it's DPW, I'm thinking police for a second, I apologize. All right, DPW, third employee is out, but just so everybody in the room understands, that has been some discussion because our DPW force is in their mid-50s. Be able to bring somebody on to help with the additional chipping some residents don't like, to be able to transition the talent, the skills, take some of the physical labor off, because our head of DPW is pulled in on projects and not necessarily daily work. That was a thought, but I'm not gonna make a motion to prove that right now. Status quo is hopefully we have somebody more part-time. Option 3 is very intriguing, because later in the packet, there's a separate ability to have a private company do the chipping that will free up people like Scott to work with the DNR and not be chipping, which I find to be a complete waste of his talents. But I know it's part of the job, but at the same time, that would mean we wouldn't have to have $100,000 for a chipper in our future CIP, and that's in there, so that takes it out. That would, take some of the heat off you guys by having sort of option number 3, to have a part-time spring to late fall DPW employee. If we had that person, we wouldn't have to probably engage the private company for $9,200, because that person could go out with you or Tom and free up the other one, which then saves that money, which plugs the hole in the additional costs, but brings in a third person for more hours and the ability to maybe transition them, as things change.
Yeah.
I know Travis is supposed to make recommendations, but I'm gonna ask you. We're not adding a person, is my logic on 3, does it make some sense? Which is bringing in somebody for a little bit longer than just summer help, more spring to late fall.
I'm not gonna be opposed to anything, but I mean, like I told Travis, it's gonna be difficult to find that perfect person.
Yeah, I know.
That is willing to come in on a part-time, not work the entire year type of scenario, and then I don't know how, that's his world, I don't know how the unemployment thing works, and if we're required to pay that because he's not working during the winter, and I don't know how that impact works, so.
Okay.
And then if we get somebody who's retired, I don't know how much value that's gonna be,
Yeah,
I don't know, there's all these factors involved.
Just a part-time employee.
but we can leave it the way it is.
For the full year?
I don't know. I
I'm just
don't know.
curious.
Or they don't really need it in winter. Their busy time is spring to fall.
Well, I get that. I mean, maybe have the bulk of your hours in the spring and the fall, but the winter, plowing, I don't know. I mean,
I could
of course,
definitely.
the last winter wasn't,
I could definitely get somebody to plow. That's not a problem, because there's construction workers and people that are laid off during the winter all the time that have CDLs that can drive and plow, and they do all the time. So the county grabs people all the time during the winter to help them out plow. So that's not nearly an issue, but it's the rest of it. I'm open to anything, put it that way.
I guess the reason why I lean towards 3 is if we're gonna have an additional 12,500, but that person could save us, again, we don't do any of this. Going out for a private shipping firm, free them up for other things, like what,
I was just looking to utilize our existing budget amount to get a private company in here and possibly get as many, if not more, events for the public to utilize. That's all. I was looking at the possibility. So instead of having 4, we could afford 5 or 6. And I don't think the residents or you really care who picks up the branches as long as they're picked up and we're not spending any more money than we currently are.
yeah, if we go back to 5 or 6 and pay a private firm, then we might as well
For the same amount.
look at
that we're
option,
budgeting for.
we might look at option 3 temporarily, because that brings in that third person, who for the difference actually is cheaper than the 5th and the 6th time. Once you get to the 5th time, you break even 6th, you might as well have the extra person at that point in time and pay the extra 12,500 to somebody who would be of value to us as a municipality, who would be of value to the 2 of you guys, to the residents,
Yeah.
and so, go ahead.
I don't understand why when 16 times a year, John picks up the stuff.
Yeah.
Why we as a village should do that other than a storm. It should.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. It's not like, I mean,
Can we?
That's what I.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Can we settle the debate for the employment before we move on to branching?
No, I think these go hand in hand, if you wouldn't mind.
I got it.
Okay.
Just be careful on what you're setting the agenda on, so. And you're talking about expanding the service right now, we're talking about contracting the service, so.
Okay.
Well, I think just in general
I'm talking
terms,
about
but as part of.
expanding it, but I don't disagree with you. I used to have to look up census tracts when I would do a loan for certain customers. They'd buy, let's say, a house out here, but they'd be a low income. But this is an upper income census tract. I don't expect the municipality to do my landscaping. I don't. And some people do. And I know I had a conversation with, I think it was Scott, and I said, hey, guess, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I remember in my head is he said, on average, the consistent amount is about 30% of the houses. That is the only,
I'm tracking it now.
you're tracking it now, okay, so.
Starting this year.
So let's say it's 40 though. That means the other 60% of the residents are subsidizing. That's the only service we have, other than if people say, hey, I come down to the lighthouse and I use the lighthouse more and the ground more than somebody else. Again, that's their choice. But this is something that's forced onto the rest of the village to pay for, because you just got used to it, sort of like a country club amenity, and I don't think we're in that place to have these kinds of amenities anymore. I don't disagree with you. John picks it up. Get the bags from Gordon Dix, I buy them and put them out. All right, so in the end, I think I'm just gonna make a motion that in option 2, we just leave the status quo for this year. This coming year, we bring it back next year. And we added maybe to the survey that we would do in
Well, I
referendum.
don't think it's all just branching though. I think it's help at the lighthouse and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I don't-
So that's why I think,
I think, yeah, it covers everything.
this person would cover everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm open to option 3. It's just,
I'm all for a part-time person for an extended period of time.
your opinion, Karen.
I just wanted, you can, I think ideally revisit this when you have a referendum in place.
That's what I was talking
And
about.
that you
Yeah.
have secured the funds, because, if we don't get this referendum, I highlighted to staff that there's going to be hard choices this village will have to make. That's going to the county. You don't have to have a police department. That's referring to the county and just giving up the police department. That's get rid of branching. That's getting rid of yard waste. That's getting rid of other things and cutting services that are even more. That's what we'll have to do to balance the budget, because we can't keep taking money out cash and put it in. So I think your option to keep it.
That's fine,
in
status quo.
Status quo, I
Because-
think is good.
Because I think, because even before the referendum, you were talking about putting together a survey for all this anyway. This will do it in a very well done, extremely professional way. And this will be one of the questions, police, third DPW or 2.5 DPW, shipping, all that stuff. So I'm gonna make, and people can vote against it. I'm gonna make a motion to just keep the status quo, which is option 2, for the seasonal DPW person for 2026. All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, now we're on the police officer hours. So the recommendation is that would reduce the hours by, it looks like what, about almost
700, 650.
650 hours, which is shy of 15%. You know, currently they're usually on what, 6 to 3? You know,
I guess background on this was like, there was the joint committee had decided to meet to discuss the police study, and one of them was, instead of contracting, we could look with internally to cut hours back to what it was before the break-ins. And so I took the hours of what it was back in the day. These are the hours of proposed patrol, 40,294. Helps with the deficit of kind of keeping down that larger amount before it can continue to increase. So this was one of the options to cut. I mean, again, you don't have to do it. You can wait till the referendum, but if you're comfortable with the hours, you can keep them. If not, otherwise you save a little bit of money and help plug in some other things that might be needed. So it was just a referral from the joint committee to review the hours currently in the budget.
And have you talked to chief about this? I mean, he's aware of this.
He knows it's a referral, but I haven't told him like which direction, because I'm recommending to you to decide right now what you want to do.
So what's the impact?
$20,000.
No.
Well, probably a hour less an evening. So I mean, it's, instead of them coming in at 6 and going to 3, maybe they come in from 7 to 3. You know, or we leave it as it
Back
is.
to when they were having the break-ins, this is like a cheap wreck.
Yeah, this is a cheaper thing.
And
Yeah.
they added hours.
And the hours haven't translated to tickets. Let's just be honest. And
Well, they were supposed to be looking for burglars.
I get that. And it was a public safety, correct?
Yes.
So is this the one where on Lighthouse or in the Lake Meadow, somebody crashed the patio? Is that what they mean, that break-in?
There were several
There were
break-ins,
several break-ins. Yeah, it was on, yeah, it was on a bike.
Behind the bike.
Yeah.
plus others. Yeah, which that guy's in jail this segment. He did get caught.
And as noticed, we haven't had as many issues on that end since he has been in jail. Maybe there's an opportunity. So thoughts, leave it as it is, throw it to the referendum.
Well-
Reduce it now, because it was a Chief Rick ask, you're right.
Yeah.
Previous chief.
And 650 hours a year. That's like 2 hours a day, a little less than 2 hours a day. And I know he gets a lot of grants,
He does.
so. I honestly don't know how many hours, because 4,900 hours. Do math. God, I spent so much time on this. So that includes all the training too, or is that just patrol hours to 49?
So, well, no, that includes the training.
Which is,
Well, the crazy thing about that is that's 13 hours a day, and we're not getting 13 hours a day.
no, we're not. That's why it's
So,
like, well, how many hours of that is patrol hours? Or I mean, training
So-
hours.
I'm gonna make a motion that we reduce the hours And then we have public safety doing kick this over to public safety for an analysis on the hours. And, put together the plan that best, serves, the residents on those 4294, because if they're coming in from 6 to 3, those numbers don't add up.
Yeah.
So let's,
Well, some of that hours includes holiday pay,
yeah, I got you. I
Right,
got
that's
you.
where it's like looking for that.
court. So, I mean, you could wait again, like,
Alright.
you know, until we have a better idea of
All right, let's do this.
about remedy.
All right, let's, go ahead.
I think what we need to know is the exact patrol hours.
So let's go
I
over-
mean, there's certain hours in there that should not be included in that
Let's-
4,900 hours.
let's leave it as is, if that's okay.
Yeah,
And then kick it over to public safety for a thorough review with the chief and the department on hours, how they break down to bring them back to us for possible referendum review and things like that. Is that okay?
The breakdown is just, it's patrol hours, training.
I get it, but it sort of would be nice to
you know,
see sort of
court pays for their hours and training is.
Yeah, but I'm
separate.
looking at an umbrella of like, it's the entire village's budget that we're impacting now. So,
so we'll leave it the same and let public safety do a deep dive for
Yeah,
their
I
portion of
agree.
referendum. Is that
I
okay?
agree.
That makes sense? And brings the chief in with that committee and they can have that discussion.
that works.
And if it ends up being more hours and the referendum includes that,
Wait for the survey and you could add it to the survey too.
Yeah.
You could ask and said, and then review it at the time, survey part and saying, is there a need to, the community see a need to reduce hours or increase hours? And then you could wait on instead of analysis and community feedback.
I get it.
Instead of like pushing, I guess, to a different committee, I would suggest maybe getting community feedback first.
Well, wouldn't the community be, no offense, wouldn't the community be a little more educated if public safety could give them that piece? How breakdowns are maybe?
Yeah, I mean, because that was my
And that's your committee, Carmen, is that
thing
a
is
problem?
knowing of what made up
That's
those
that problem.
hours.
Work with chief on that and bring it back, it's fine, at least everybody borrows it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna just make a motion to keep the patrol hours the same for the 2026 budget and have public safety do a dive to help with the referendum survey.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? I'm saying. Not trying to add anything to your plate, Travis, I know you got a lot, but you can still let chief get with Carmen and the committee and they can run with that and hopefully it will also work. Branch collection contracted service, I'm gonna make a motion that we don't do anything on that at the same time this year, and maybe that could be a question and or not in the referendum. I know you and I are sort of the same opinion that I don't think we should be anybody's landscaper.
Oh, that, it looks like that was going to 3, right? From 4 to 3.
No, it's if we went with the outside service, I think it was still 4, wasn't it? Yeah, still 4.
Okay.
We kept that out. Sorry, so I'm gonna make a motion that we do not, again,
I'll second that.
all right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, I understand, all right. And then we get into the ERU, Travis, you're probably best explaining this to everybody, if you don't mind. For the stormwater.
The ERU funds the stormwater account, the equivalent residential unit. So the village created that. I don't know when they created it, but it hasn't been increased in a long time. So using Ellers' data analysis, we projected to do a proposed ERU rate of 2026 for $25.87.
Excuse me, what's ERU?
Equivalent residential unit.
And what do we have, about 774, is it in the village?
Something like that.
Okay, so even though it says estimated revenue, that's total revenue, the increase is about $37,000, so that's the kind of money that would go in stormwater's coffers to help. At some point in time, maybe we'll build up enough reserves, so we have to borrow all the time. But it will mean $12 a quarter on, I know. So, And this doesn't go off that doesn't have to go to the PSC, so. All right, I'll make a motion that we, adopt and move forward as the village board to propose the ERU for 2026 to be 2587.
Okay, second.
All right, so Carmen got a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, anyone abstain? Okay. All right, so we're done with section 9. Review and possibly take action on ADA safety study on village facilities. This sort of goes hand in hand with doing a complete dive similar to 2010, which is item 11, but we'll just stay on item 10 for right now of the village facilities, ADA compliance and ability to adjust these buildings, Travis. That's going to be the scope of the work.
Yeah, it covers, for the Mueller one, it was, the lighthouse and the, village.
All okay, as is. So they'd be able to help us get, like it says here, upon completion, reports necessary for a qualified contractor to give us costs. If we would remodel,
Then you would go bring those documents to a contractor.
Yeah.
To give you pricing on how much it is to update.
sure, all right. Questions, concerns? Sort of has to be done because we do have,
Yeah, well, that's the only way we're gonna know.
that's all we're gonna know. All right, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the proposal from Hod Mueller in the amount of 17,850 to conduct the ADA assessment, remediation and safety reports for the village administration offices in the village hall / municipal court and police department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, 3-0. All right, review of facility spreadsheet requested by trustee Gasparo. So back in 2010, that board had 6 options on things to do, and they chose do nothing. So as is very appropriate in looking at all this, trustee Gasparo has reminded us, which we do have top of mind anyway, but appreciate Carmen to put together a similar thumbs up, thumbs down type analysis on the options. Now, we may not have all 6 because we'll find out what Hog Mueller, what works, what doesn't. How fast can they do that study, Charlie? Or we have them ready to go and
Once Thursday hits an approval board, we can start going.
okay, all right. So let's do that so we keep moving forward on getting all the answers we can get. All right, is there any action to take other than just, that'll be the roadmap?
I guess if you would have to hire an architect to give you accurate answers on doing the other options. So if you want to design other options, you're gonna have to hire someone.
Let's see what Hog Mueller comes back with. Let's see what the grant comes back with, if anything. And then full board meeting, passengers coming on the 9th. So let's put together all that information and then decide about spending even more money on even more studies that may or may not make sense once we know what Hog Mueller has to say. Is that all right? Doesn't mean we're still not gonna look at 1 or 2 or 3 things without spending a boatload of money. I mean, do nothing 0. Spend a lot of money is one thing. Get a grant, cuts it somewhat in half. Fix what we got and hope nobody ever tattletales on us, and we've got to retrofit that building within 30 days and come up with the money, which I'll ask people to then pass the hat. So are you okay with us just tabling this for right now?
Yeah, as long as we.
We're still moving forward. Yeah, we're still gonna get the options you want, Carmen. All right, so I'm gonna make a motion that we don't spend any additional money,
Postpone.
but to postpone doing 6 options because we're in the middle of closing down a few of them, including an ADA study on the current buildings.
And once it's approved by the board, what was the timeline on that? And you think?
For the ADA study?
Yeah.
I'd have to ask them how fast they can do it. And if you want it done faster, it's gonna cost more.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, reasonably, at the lowest cost then, I understand.
All right, so. I made the motion to table it, second, all in favor? Aye. All right, anyone opposed, they abstain. All right, folks, we have to go into closed sessions and fun. Thank you for all the comments and the feedback and information. We do listen to it.